Adam, as I kind of talked to you about at the very beginning of the podcast, as we head into episode number 200, we've kind of seen the arc of the sports betting industry in which we were trying to figure out, which states were even going to go legal in the first place, who was going to be a player, who was not going to be a player, what were going to be the M&A targets, what was going to happen with, marketing, et cetera, et cetera. So we have seen kind of a full arc in not even 200 episodes and a lot fewer episodes than that. We've seen the full arc of a company as well.
So customers of Bally yesterday received an email that it said it came from Bally. I think it kind of came from Beyonce, in which it said, to the left, everything you own in an app to the left, and go ahead and get it on out of here. Customers were told that Bally is shutting down for a period of time, and that in order to facilitate that, they are basically shutting down every account. All money needs to either be withdrawn or will be sent to an address on file via check by June 30th if you don't go and pull the money out. I will say anecdotally from those I've talked to, not particularly simple to get your money out right now. And so there might end up being a lot of checks sent by Bally. It does not apply if you live in Arizona. We have not gotten clarity as to why that is the case, but we know that Bally is going to be essentially going for a 3.0 version of its app. They're going to Candee after previously buying Bet.Works and bringing that in-house, buying Monkey Knife Fight. They shut down Monkey Knife Fight. The Bet.Works platform didn't work for them, and now they're going onto a third-party provider with Candee. And what we knew was that there was going to be a period of transition. What we surely did not know is that means for Bally shutting the entire thing down. And essentially, when they come back by the end of 2023, although there will be some markets that they're trying to launch in before NFL season, everyone's going to have to sign up again. I was talking with the LSR team earlier, and I'm not sure you could come up with a bigger story of overall failure than what has happened with Bally, at least relative to what you would have thought the expectations of success were for a legacy casino company coming into the space.
Yeah, Dustin, it's very interesting, right? Because where I don't think we were necessarily jumping up and down about Bally's in the industry, but they were at least intriguing, right? They were showing they were going to spend money. They did have, again, it's not Johnny come lately. It is a company that's been around for a long time, et cetera, et cetera. So we were kind of like, maybe we're not necessarily thinking they're going to come in and be a major player, but I don't know. Maybe, there's at least some potential there. And, I know people probably think that we come on here and it's just like, problem after problem after problem that we talk about. Listen, we talk about the success stories as well, but this one we have not had a lot of success to talk about when it has come to Bally's here on the podcast, unfortunately.
Yeah. They spent a lot of money to try to compete in this space, and basically shutting it down and starting from scratch is, that's kind of what they're doing. It seems like everything that Adam just described is just a horrible UX. Like, shut your account down, migrate them. How many accounts are we really migrating? It's like, Bally is a rounding error in the iGaming and online sports betting space right now. So it's certainly some, but if you are you did all of this and you're basically starting over. It's that's almost what they had to do, though, if they're going to compete long term, right? Let's have something sustainable that we can build on. Everything that's happened so far has obviously not worked to any kind of great effect. So, using Candee, getting everybody on a new platform, and then starting over, that's kind of what it is. But yeah, they have burned through a lot of cash and failing in integrating the acquisitions that they had over the years. It's been a rough go for sure. But we'll see if, I don't know if version 2.0 of Bally is going to be any more successful than 1.0, but it's pretty clear that 1.0 was not going to work out.
Yeah, Adam, look, we're not in the room. We are not accountants. We don't know. It's just I guess it's an interesting strategy just from the point of that they still think it's worth coming back in at all, right? It's interesting when you see where you sit in the market and you see where the industry leaders are. It does not look like there's any show of slowing down with those guys. And of course, if anything, you have two kind of behemoths that could be really coming in the Fanatics and Bet365 side of things. And so the fact that there is at least a plan to continue on, to me, was at least what should I say? Curious? I'll just call it curious. I'll call it curious.
It is curious. There's no question. It's a great word for it. Dustin kind of summed it up well there, that the experience for a customer is so poor here that you almost wonder if they're saying, yeah, our customers weren't any good in the first place. Right? Like we talked about with some of these companies that have shut down versus being purchased, that everyone is looking at them and saying, yeah, your customers were not profitable, right? Like not that your customers were the super sharp customers that you're making money off. They just weren't gambling with you. They weren't spending any money. And so maybe that's the case here for Bally, is they're like, yeah, whoever we had wasn't that great in the first place. And so we're just going to go ahead and hit the restart button. We're going to tank for Wemby and hope that we come into something great when Candee comes around. So that's the play for them. Sports betting as a gateway, again, as we're talking about a lot on this podcast, to iGaming, because you have a legacy gaming brand that you can probably sign up some of your customers for. Maybe the cross-sell ends up working a little bit heavier the other direction. Maybe Bally's has a plan that they want to be able to sell more casino customers into sports. I couldn't tell you, but you know what? Let me tell you that I don't think they can either.
Dustin, let's close things out here with a little bit more of a personal topic for me. I wanted a late addition to the rundown here, and that is, and look, it is something that I've joked about for a very long time, and to see at least a company stepping up to the plate is interesting. Caesars in Nevada was the first company to finally take the plunge, right? They launched their rest of country app here, and when I say that, you're going, I don't even really get it, because people who don't understand what it is like to have bet in Nevada since the apps were available, you don't even get it. What you have out there is so amazing, and we did not have any of that stuff. And Caesars decided to go ahead and launch and take that next step here. It is at least a refreshing look that a company that is, again, didn't necessarily have a big reason to do it, because everything's just kind of been working as it is, decided to go ahead and take the step forward here. What that did, guys, if you're wondering, there was not a robust market of, let's just call it, prop bets that were available here on a regular basis. There was no such thing as same game parlays. There were no boosted bets. There were no real reward programs, like any of that stuff, all of which is integrated into the new Caesars app. Now, you take the good with the bad. I sent a screenshot to you guys, and, look, some of the markets are, you know what? Let's circle back to that word, Adam. Curious. So some of the splits are curious in all of this. So you take the good with the bad, but it is interesting that Caesars did decide to go ahead and take the plunge here, and it does make me wonder: is MGM next? Is there any? What does this do now for a Nevada market that has sat stale and stagnant for eternity, essentially?
We talk about this a lot because you live there, Adam lived there for a long time. What is the future of Nevada? And like, this is at least as an example of, we're going to get the rest of the world app into Nevada. I haven't been to Vegas in a hot minute, but the apps have always blown. They're all extremely rough experiences, right? That none of them are very good for gambling, especially vis-a-vis what you get in the rest of the country right now. And to see that, it's at least interesting. And I know Nevada doesn't want to be on the sidelines of all of this, and just be like, there's increasingly talk of Nevada has just been left in the dark ages, right? That they're not adapting to online gambling, and at least seeing the app come in to Nevada, bad lines or not, that is interesting as we, envision what the next iteration of what Nevada online gambling is. Does that mean there's going to be all great apps everywhere? Are they going to change things to make it easier for innovation? Are they going to get into, online casino? All of those are, I don't know, maybe a long ways off, but it is an example of, it's, and people just don't realize it. But, again, in the bubble, we realize that, the Nevada online sports betting experience is pretty rough, and to see at least get a better app with better options, and you can get into the lines talk, but at least that part of it is a good step forward for Nevada, and seeing Caesars do this.
Adam, we look, obviously the other company that is looming out there that could do this would be MGM. They do have a rest of country app as well that is not available in Nevada. They do have a rewards program that is available rest of country that's not available in Nevada. You do have the partnership over at Virgin Casino with Betfred, who is able to operate currently an over-the-counter, but not actually have the app live in Nevada. So maybe that could be coming as well. So in theory, we could be looking at some point in the football season with 3 kind of rest of country apps, which would be pretty massive, I think, for this market, because while the, gigantic bettors are always going to flock to some of the old school books that will take the really big action, I do wonder if some of the casual stuff where we see, William Hill just still crushes, as far as like numbers come in Nevada, and there's nothing special about that app at all. It's a bunch of casual guys as well. And so I do wonder if maybe, a Caesars with the new app, if BetMGM decided to go that direction, if they finally approve Betfred, like, do they start to siphon off some of the casual bettors who, again, as we know very well, don't really care about a lot of they want to bet the same game parlays. They want like this huge menu options and all the different things to be able to bet on.
Sit back, you two, and let Grandpappy from Nevada give you a little bit of history here as we explain.
Come on, Papaw.
Yeah, sit on
Papaw.
my knee, and let me tell you a little bit more about what's going on here. First of all, as an aside, one of the mind-blowing moments for me in 2023 was learning that there is a Fred behind Betfred, and seeing that Fred on camera at Super Bowl time, like, oh my God, like that thing blew.
Hey, Fred, what you go name your company?
I don't know, Fred Bet? Nah, that's a little weird. Betfred? Got it.
Betfred, yeah.
Nailed it. Once again, Fred, you've done it again. So let's go back here to the beginning of the Caesars transition. We have to talk about the Caesars purchase of William Hill, and we have to talk about, we can't say everything was working well. The impetus for all of this was that they had a massive crash during the Super Bowl, right? Like, if William Hill was down for days, Caesars was down on Super Bowl Sunday in Nevada. Like, that's the reason that we're getting this. So I think hope needs to be tempered, because Caesars had a direct reason, working on the old tech from William Hill, that they had to get this fixed before the next football season. They could not risk another situation where they're down for the beginning of the NFL season for week 1. So they had the reason to do that. Now, when it comes to MGM, will they feel the same push to do that? I don't necessarily think they will, unless Caesars begins to see a lot more adoption for having put the rest of country app in there. And then MGM will probably look and say, all right, well, we didn't necessarily want to do it, but there's enough market pressure for us to do this. Beyond that, though, why would you make a big push in Nevada to have a sports betting app when you're not going to have iGaming anytime soon? That's the history lesson here, that unraveling Uncle Shelly's handiwork is going to take a very, very long time, if ever, in Nevada. Sheldon Adelson, the late owner of the Las Vegas Sands Company, Venetian, Palazzo, and so on, was adamantly, as most listeners to this podcast know, against online gaming. And so Nevada's laws have been centered around that for a very long time. And most companies have built their products with the understanding that there wasn't going to be online gaming and that there was probably going to be this minimal online sports betting product. And so the political winds need to shift for that to happen. And I don't know if those winds are ever going to shift so long as Station Casinos is the kind of presence that it is, because we know that Station Casinos is the reason that the in-person registration requirement is still in place in Nevada, which is what stifles the market, which is what keeps DraftKings and FanDuel out. And I don't think they're going to be any more excited about online gaming, which would keep people out of their casinos, than they are about modernized online sports betting. So, Matt, I wish you the absolute best when it comes to that Caesars Sportsbook app and you being able to finally see something that looks like the PlayStation that the rest of the country has versus the Atari that Nevada has been on for all of this time. And I wish you even more that you are not dealing with intralot level splits on markets that you get in that Caesars Sportsbook app.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know if MGM will do it either. The thing is like, that's the only app Betfred has, right? It's just so like that when they finally get approved, that's all they've got, right? So there'll at least be 2 in the market at some point. Dustin, I think one of the other interesting things here, and then we'll get out of here, is just, also for the first time, there's a very clear spelled out reward program associated with sports betting. Now, listen, there were always if you were a big bettor, you were getting these mythical points, like you were accruing stuff, and like maybe your account was like getting boosted and all that, but like it was never really spelled out as to how like you were going to move up the tiers and what you get for each bet. And they did do this with the Caesars app now. And just anecdotally, I talked to a couple of my very casual bettor friends who, the fact that they get points and can like get free parking and can like do these, go to one of the nice restaurants and cash in to do these different little things. I was like, would that make you switch to this app? Even if it cost you an extra 2 cents per, if it wasn't, let's say it's not 110, it's 112, like say they have like numbers like that. The 2 cents to them meant absolutely nothing. And what meant everything was the fact that they would be able to get to the gold tier where they're going to park for free, or get to a point where a $25 gift card to go to the buffet or whatever is sent to them. And so it is at least somewhat interesting to me from that aspect, and how well they market that heading into the football season. They did advertise fairly well that they were switching over and migrating to this app. I got several emails along the way. The communication was good with that. And so will the very clear spelled out, hey, when you make a bet, you get this many reward points, and you can go into the app and track your progress and watch your status climb and stuff. Will that matter to the casual bettor? We'll find that out, I guess.
I mean, this has been a long game for legacy casino companies, I think, in the U.S. with online sports betting casino for a while, right? It's been MGM, Caesars, Penn, Boyd, whoever. Engage with those customers in a different way, and if you have the synergy between an online app and you can get them to a property or have them engaging with your brand in some way, that's valuable. We see like New Jersey, again, the longest example of a decade of online casino before sports betting was even a glimmer in anyone's eye. Was we've seen this engagement with people. You get to engage with customers you wouldn't get. You get to engage with lapsed customers. You get them into the casino possibly where you really didn't have a touch point with them other than some email marketing if you had their email. Now you have now they're playing on your online casino. Now they're playing your online sportsbook. So there's definitely value into that. Again, is that going to be the path of Nevada? Again, I'm with Adam. It's going to take forever for anybody to really realize that in a meaningful way. But we do have MGM and Caesars sitting there who obviously have figured this out and have some value on it. Can they push back on the legacy other casino companies that don't really buy into this? That's the probably over decades we're going to see this in Nevada. I don't think in forever we're going to see this, but I think at some point it becomes so prevalent that we will see it in Nevada. Is that 10 years, 20 years, 50 years from now? God only knows. We'll probably all be dead, but you have hope if you're a youngin'.
Guys, as we talk about everything on the podcast here over at legalsportsreport.com. So please go in, take in all of the words that Adam and team are putting on the website over there. They're putting in a ton of hard work and explain it a little bit more in depth than we do here on the podcast. As always, we do appreciate every single subscribe, rate, and review to help us climb up the charts. So do thank you there. And if you're watching over on YouTube, thanks. Please hit that subscribe button down below as well. Episode number 200 coming soon. We will advertise that as well. We will let you know when we are going to go live and who actually we are going to be talking to as well for that. So please pay attention to us over on the Twitters as well as the Legal Sports Report Twitter over there too. For Adam, for Dustin, I'm Matt. Talk to you guys soon.